I used to think owning a hotel was simple. Buy a building in a tourist city, fill it with rooms, charge people every night, and keep the difference. Then I started looking at what it would actually cost me. My name is Michael Carter, and the first hotel I seriously considered was in Miami. It was already operating, with staff and guests. Buying it seemed safer than building from scratch. The asking price was enormous, but it was only the first number that mattered. If I bought an operating hotel, I would also be buying its furniture, equipment, employees, supplier contracts, reputation, maintenance problems, and every expensive mistake the previous owner had postponed. The air conditioning system might be near the end of its life. Elevators could need modernization. 200 rooms might need new carpets, mattresses, televisions, bathrooms, or furniture. So I considered the alternative. I could buy land and build my own hotel. I could choose the location, design the rooms, and avoid inheriting somebody else's problems. But building created a different financial problem. I would spend money for years before earning anything. First came the land. In Miami, New York, Los Angeles, or another major tourist market, land alone could cost millions. Then came architects, permits, legal work, financing fees, insurance, and site preparation. After that came the building itself: concrete, steel, electrical systems, plumbing, elevators, air conditioning, fire protection, windows, kitchens, and bathrooms. Then came hundreds of smaller purchases: beds, mattresses, desks, chairs, televisions, lamps, curtains, towels, sheets, minibars, safes, carpets. Multiply them across hundreds of rooms, and furniture became a serious investment, and I still could not open. I needed a lobby, reception desks, booking software, laundry equipment, cleaning supplies, signage, parking, restaurant equipment, and enough inventory for the first guests. Then I needed employees before I knew how many guests would actually arrive. Managers, receptionists, cleaners, maintenance workers, cooks, servers, and marketers had to be paid from day one. That was the contradiction I had missed. My hotel could represent tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars of investment before it generated its first dollar of revenue. An opening day would not stop the spending. Electricity, water, and salaries would still be due. Insurance, advertising, maintenance, loan payments, repairs, and supplier invoices would continue, whether occupancy was 90% or 40%. That meant I needed more than the money to build. I needed working capital. If I spent nearly everything on construction and opened with little cash left, one weak tourist season could put the entire project under pressure. The building could be beautiful and the reviews good, and I could still run out of money. That was my first expectation reversal. I had assumed the biggest challenge was raising enough money to own the hotel. It was not. The bigger challenge was having enough money left after I owned it. Hotels need time to build occupancy, attract conferences, earn repeat customers, build a reputation, and support higher room rates. Every month I waited, the hotel kept consuming cash. I stopped asking one question: how much does the hotel cost? I started asking three: how much would it cost to acquire or build? How much would it cost to open? And how much cash would I need to survive until the property could pay its own bills? That changed how I saw the business. A completed hotel is not necessarily a successful hotel. An expensive hotel is not necessarily a profitable hotel. And a hotel showing profit on paper can still be dangerous if debt payments and operating costs drain cash faster than guests bring it in. I had already discovered the first rule of hotel ownership: the building is only the beginning. The real business starts after I own it. Once I understood how much money it could take just to buy, build, and open a hotel, I started asking the obvious question: how does the hotel actually earn all of that money back? At first, I thought the answer was rooms. That was true, but incomplete. Rooms are the engine of the business, but a serious hotel is designed to make money from a guest more than once. Imagine I own a 250-room hotel in Miami. If my average room rate is $280 per night and I fill every room, the maximum room revenue for one night is $70,000. Over 30 days, that would be $2.1 million. That number looks incredible. But hotels are almost never full every night. If my occupancy is 70%, I am selling about 175 rooms. At the same $280 rate, That gives me roughly $49,000 in room revenue per night, or around $1.47 million over 30 days. That is huge revenue, but it is not profit. Before I keep any of it, I still have to pay staff, utilities, booking platforms, laundry, and maintenance. A busy front desk does not automatically make me rich. What matters is what each occupied room leaves behind after its costs are paid. Then I notice something else. The guest who pays me for a room is already inside my building. That makes the guest incredibly valuable. If that person eats breakfast in my restaurant, buys drinks at the bar, pays for parking, orders room service, books a massage, or upgrades the room, I can earn additional revenue without finding another overnight customer. This is why large hotels can feel like several businesses under one roof. Rooms bring people in. Everything else increases guest spending. Food and beverages matter too. My restaurant, bar, and room service can earn extra money because guests are paying for convenience as much as food. Then there are events. A ballroom that looks empty on a normal Tuesday can become one of the most valuable spaces in the building when I book a wedding, conference, corporate dinner, or private event. Instead of earning from one room, I can earn from hall rental, catering, drinks, parking, and dozens of rooms tied to the same event. Suppose a company books a 3-day conference at my hotel. It needs 100 rooms per night, a conference hall, breakfast, lunch, coffee service, projectors, microphones, and dinner on the final evening. One client can generate revenue across several parts of my property. This was my second expectation reversal. I had assumed hotels were basically real estate businesses. In reality, the best ones operate more like financial ecosystems. Parking can become its own revenue stream in a dense city. So can a spa, late checkout, airport transfers, minibar sales, laundry, resort fees, and upgraded views. Not every service is highly profitable. Some restaurants barely break even, and some amenities exist mainly because guests expect them. But together, these services can increase the amount I earn from every person who walks through the door. That is when I stopped looking only at occupancy. A hotel with 90% occupancy can perform worse than a hotel with 75% occupancy if the second property charges higher room rates, attracts better paying guests, and earns more from food, events, parking, and other services. The number of occupied rooms matters, but so does the quality of that revenue. If I discount rooms too aggressively just to stay full, I can create a hotel that looks successful while quietly damaging my margins. The goal is not simply to fill every bed. The goal is to sell the right rooms at the right price to guests who generate enough total spending to make the entire property work. That was when hotel ownership made more sense to me. I was not just selling sleep, I was selling an entire spending environment. And once I understood that, I could finally see why two hotels standing on the same street could earn completely different amounts of money. Each purchase changes real numbers. Once I understood how a hotel could generate revenue, I made the mistake almost every new owner makes. I started focusing on how much money could come in. Then I looked at how much had to go out. That was when the business became much less glamorous. A hotel never really stops spending. Even if half my rooms are empty, I still need people at the front desk. I still need security, maintenance, management, cleaners, and enough staff to keep the property operating. Some costs move with occupancy, but many of the largest expenses barely care whether I am full or empty. The lobby lights stay on, the elevators still run, the air conditioning still cools common spaces, the pool still needs cleaning, insurance and property taxes still arrive, and if I finance the hotel with debt, the bank still expects its payment. This is where revenue can become dangerous. Suppose my hotel generates $2 million in monthly revenue. From the outside, that sounds extraordinary. But imagine payroll consumes $600,000. Utilities take another $180,000. Food, cleaning supplies, laundry, and guest amenities cost $220,000. Marketing and booking commissions take $160,000. Insurance, software, security, maintenance, and administration consume another $240,000. Now I am down to $600,000 before major repairs, taxes, debt payments, and replacement of worn furniture. A single expensive problem can change the month. An elevator can fail, a pipe can burst, or 50 rooms can suddenly need renovation because the property feels old. Hotels wear out faster than many people expect because hundreds of strangers use them every day. A hotel mattress is used by different guests night after night. The same is true for carpets, chairs, fixtures, doors, and televisions. So I cannot treat furniture as a one-time expense. I have to keep replacing it. That means part of today's cash must be saved for tomorrow's renovation. If I refuse to spend that money, the hotel may look more profitable for a few years. Then the reviews fall, the room rate falls, occupancy falls, and eventually I pay for the renovation anyway, except now I am repairing both the building and the reputation. Labor creates another risk. A large hotel operates 24 hours a day. Guests arrive late, problems happen at night. Rooms must be cleaned quickly. Restaurants open on schedule. I cannot simply send everyone home when demand slows. If occupancy drops from 80% to 55%, my revenue can collapse much faster than payroll. Then there are online booking platforms. They can bring me customers I might never reach directly, but they can also take a commission from each reservation. So the room I advertise for $300 does not necessarily put $300 into my bank account. Taxes, commissions, discounts, loyalty programs, and operating costs all take pieces before I see the final profit. That reversed my expectation. I had thought empty rooms were my biggest problem because they produced no revenue. But an empty room is worse than that. It exists inside a building that is still costing me money. I paid to construct it. I financed it. I still heat, cool, insure, maintain, and eventually renovate it. So every unsold night is inventory that disappears forever. If I fail to sell a room tonight, I cannot store tonight and sell it tomorrow. The opportunity is gone at midnight. That makes hotel demand brutally time sensitive. A bad week cannot always be recovered by a great week later. And suddenly I understood why experienced hotel owners watch occupancy, room rates, labor costs, cash flow, and debt almost obsessively. The hotel might look calm from the lobby. Financially, it is a machine with thousands of expenses running every hour. My job was not simply to attract guests. My job was to make sure the money arriving through the front door was moving faster than the money leaking out everywhere else. By this point, I understood something uncomfortable. A hotel could be beautiful, busy, and expensive to build and still become a financial disaster. The next question was why? The first answer was location. I had always heard that location mattered in real estate, but hotels make that rule brutal because guests are not choosing only a room. They are choosing what the room gives them access to. If my hotel is close to beaches, airports, convention centers, nightlife, or major attractions, I have a reason for people to stay there. If it is far from everything, I need a very strong reason for them to choose me anyway. And a mistake in location is almost impossible to fix. I can renovate rooms, replace management, or change the restaurant, but I cannot pick up a 300-room hotel and move it closer to demand. Then I looked at debt. Debt can make a hotel possible, but it can also make a weak hotel impossible to save. Imagine I build a large resort near Las Vegas. I expect tourists, conferences, and weekend travelers to keep it busy, so I borrow heavily to create something impressive. Then reality is weaker than my forecast. Instead of 75% occupancy, I average 48%. Instead of charging $350 per room, I keep discounting to $250 just to attract guests. Revenue falls from both directions. I have fewer customers and each customer pays less, but my debt payment does not fall with occupancy. The bank does not care that tourism was weak this month. That is the trap. Without large loan payments, I might survive a bad year. With heavy debt, I may not have enough time. Then comes management. A hotel is too complicated to run badly for very long. If rooms are not cleaned properly, reviews decline. If maintenance is delayed, small problems become expensive problems. If staff scheduling is poor, I can have too many employees when the hotel is quiet and too few when it is full. If pricing is weak, I can sell rooms too cheaply during high demand or price them too high during slow periods. Both mistakes cost money. The most dangerous mistake, however, is believing my forecast because I want it to be true. Suppose I convince myself that a new resort will attract 250,000 guest nights a year. That assumption affects everything. It determines how many rooms I build, how much debt I take, how many people I hire, and how much revenue I expect. If the real market supports only 150,000 guest nights, I do not have a small forecasting error. I have built the wrong business. That was another expectation reversal. But a hotel can fail much more quietly. It can lose money because I was slightly too optimistic about occupancy, slightly too aggressive with debt, slightly too slow with repairs, and slightly too confident about demand. Together, those mistakes can destroy the economics. I started imagining myself as David Miller, an investor who builds a huge resort outside Las Vegas because I expect tourist traffic to keep growing. The opening is impressive, the rooms are beautiful, the pool looks perfect, but guests do not arrive in the numbers I projected. Now every empty room feels different. It is not just missed revenue, it is a room financed with borrowed money that still creates interest, maintenance, insurance, and depreciation. I lower prices. That helps occupancy, but hurts revenue per guest. I spend more on advertising. That brings bookings, but increases expenses. I cut staff, service slips, and reviews get worse. Now I am trapped between protecting cash today and protecting the hotel's reputation tomorrow. That is how a hotel can enter a downward spiral. The building does not need to be empty. It only needs to earn less than the financial structure around it demands. That became the rule I could not ignore. A hotel does not fail because it has no guests. It fails when the guests it has cannot generate enough cash fast enough to support the property I created. After studying everything that could go wrong, I finally reached the part that makes hotel ownership attractive. When the numbers work, they can work extremely well. The best hotel markets have something every owner wants: strong demand combined with limited space. If I own a great property in New York, Miami, Los Angeles, or another major tourist city, I am not depending on one type of customer. Imagine my 250-room hotel in Miami is performing well. My average room rate is $350 per night, and I maintain 85% occupancy. That means I sell about 213 rooms each night. Room revenue alone is roughly $74,550 per day, or around $2.24 million over 30 days. That still excludes restaurants, bars, parking, weddings, room service, spa treatments, and upgrades. This is where scale becomes powerful. Once the building and systems are in place, every extra occupied room can add meaningful revenue. If I raise occupancy from 70% to 85% without increasing fixed costs by the same percentage, much of that extra revenue can improve profit. The same applies to room rates. If strong demand lets me increase the average rate from $300 to $350, I earn more from roughly the same physical room. That is why location can create pricing power. A guest arriving during a major event cannot create another hotel room. If available rooms are limited and demand is high, prices rise. That was another expectation reversal for me. I used to think the biggest hotels automatically made the most money. Not necessarily. A smaller hotel in an exceptional location can outperform a larger property in a weak market. But high occupancy alone still does not guarantee success. I need the right combination of occupancy and room rate. If I fill every room by discounting too aggressively, I can create huge revenue while sacrificing margin. If I charge too much and leave half the hotel empty, I lose volume. The skill is finding the point where price and occupancy produce the strongest result. Then there is everything outside the room. Suppose my hotel hosts 2 weddings and 3 corporate events in 1 month. Those events can fill rooms while also producing catering revenue, bar sales, ballroom rental income, parking fees, and other charges. A well-managed hotel can become more valuable as its reputation grows. Strong reviews can support higher rates. Repeat guests can reduce the cost of finding customers. Corporate relationships can create recurring bookings. But I cannot confuse a good market with automatic profit. Even in Miami or New York, poor management can destroy the advantage. If labor costs are uncontrolled, debt is too heavy, or the property becomes outdated, a great location only delays the problem. The strongest hotel is not simply the one with the highest room rate. It is the one that converts demand into healthy cash flow consistently. That means managing prices, costs, upkeep, added revenue, and cash reserves. In an optimistic year, my hotel could stay near full occupancy, raise rates during peak demand, host profitable events, and generate strong cash after expenses. In a realistic year, demand might soften, maintenance costs might rise, and competition might force me to discount rooms. The difference between those outcomes is rarely one dramatic decision. It is dozens of ordinary decisions made every day. That is what I finally understood about hotel ownership. The money is not in owning a beautiful building. The money is in controlling the relationship between location, occupancy, price, extra spending, expenses, debt, and management. Get that relationship right, and a hotel can become an extraordinary business. Get it wrong, and even a luxury property can become an expensive machine for turning cash into bills. Guests create revenue, management creates profit, and cash flow decides whether I stay in business long enough to enjoy either one. If this video helped you understand the hotel business a little better, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the other videos here for more breakdowns